Hi dear students, in today's class we will discuss a new poem, Television, written by Roald Dahl. In my textbook, poem number 5, Television, Roald Dahl, and you may take poem Television. So this poem, it is a beautiful poem which warns about the dangers of watching television for a long time, and at the same time, through this poem, the poet promotes the habit of reading. And in your textbook, a brief introduction about the poet is given. He is Roald Dahl, the poet. He is a famous modern English writer. And through this poem, Television, Roald Dahl warns the young generation about the dangers of watching television for a long time. And according to the poet, the watching television for a long time, it robs the imagination of young people and it ultimately causes the death of imagination. And continuously watching television for a long time, that makes the young generation zombies. And instead of watching television, through this poem, the poet says to young generation that read more, read the books, because by reading the books they will get more knowledge. Now before we discuss the poem in detail, we will just have an idea about the poem. The poem Television, it is a didactic poem. What is the meaning of didactic? Didactic means message. So here this poem Television is a didactic poem, means it aims at giving a message to the audience. And what is the message that we will get from this poem? That is the dangers of watching television, and the second one, it is promote the habit of reading. And then the theme of the poem. Here in this poem we can find three different themes. The first one, watching television for a long time. And watching television for a long time, that causes the second theme. What is that? The death of imagination. And in the third theme, the poet says about the solution. Instead of watching television, what we can do? That is to read more books, promote habit of reading. The title of the poem, when we discuss about the title of the poem, the title is very apt for the poem, because throughout the poem, the poet, he discussed about the dangers of television, and according to him, television causes death of imagination. But in the modern society, the modern response is not that much suitable for the poem Television, because nowadays many people are not using television. Instead of that, there are many other modern gadgets like smartphone or iPad, iPod, many other things are there. So the modern response is comparatively less. And coming to the style of the poem is not having a special style or a poetic effect, because the aim of the poet, it is not to give any poetic effect, but to instruct the people or give a message to the people about the dangers of watching television. So he is not bringing any poetic effect here in this poem. And there are 93 lines in this poem, and as I told you, we cannot find many poetic effects in this poem, because the aim of the poet was to give a message to the reader. And then the literary devices and the rhyming scheme of the poem. The rhyming scheme of the poem, it is A, B, B. A, B, B. And in some lines we can find that there is no special rhyming scheme. There are some exceptions. Otherwise, the normal rhyming scheme of the poem, it is A, B, B. Then the rhetorical devices and the poetic devices used in this poem. First of all, it is personification. Here, the poet calls the television as a monster. And then he says, watching television, it is nauseating and repulsive, and these three are the attributes of human being, and here in this poem these qualities are attributed to the television. So personification. The use of personification we can find here. Then the use of apostrophe. It is a rhetorical device while addressing his poem to the parents and absent audience. Here we cannot find a special audience here, absent audience, but this poem it is addressed to the parents. So apostrophe, the use of apostrophe we can find. Okay, it is addressed to the absent audience. Then the figures of speech. Here we can find the use of metaphor. The lines of we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. Then this monster, that is a comparison. So we can find the use of monster, and only in one place we will find the use of simile. That is, his brain becomes as soft as cheese. So just like the cheese, his brain becomes. So the use of simile we can find here in this poem. And this poem, it is written in the language of prose. And you have to keep in your mind that this poem, it aims at giving some instructions to the young generation. And what is the instruction? Avoid watching television. Because if someone watches television for a long time, that will cause the death of imagination. And instead of that, the poet here says to read more books and make your brain something creative. And when we go through the poem, then we will understand that in some places the capital letters are used. And why these capital letters are used? It is to give a special emphasis on that lines. That is the reason the poet used capital letters in some lines for what? In order to give a special emphasis on that particular lines. So now we will start discussing the poem. Take poem number 5, Television, written by Roald Dahl. The most important thing we have learned so far as children are concerned is never let them near your television set, or better still, just don't install this idiotic thing at all. So the most important thing we have learned. So the poet is giving a warning or a message to the audience, but here he used the pronoun we instead of I. Why? Because it is not only the opinion of the poet, but it is the opinion of a group of people, or it is the opinion of many people. That is why he says we instead of I. He uses we because it is the opinion of a group of people. So most important thing we have learned, a group of people or many people, maybe the parents, the teachers or the elders, what they have learned. So far as children are concerned, in relation with the children, they learn one thing. What is that? Is never let them near your television set. Don't allow your children to sit near television set, and don't allow children to watch television. Or better still, just don't install the idiotic thing at all. And otherwise he says that it is better don't install the television, and here he calls television as an idiotic thing. So from these lines we can understand that the parents, elders or the poet, they have learned one thing, that is don't allow the children to sit near the television set, or don't allow them to watch television. And the second thing is that it is better don't install the idiotic thing called television. And what is the reason why he says don't allow or don't install the television at home? So the reasons we will get from the coming lines. In almost every house we have watched them gaping at the screen. They loll and slow and launch about and stare until their eyes pop out. Last week in someone's place we saw a dozen eyeballs on the floor. In these lines, the poet gives a general observation and a general observation about watching television excessively by the children. He says that in almost every house we have been, in almost every house he has been what he observed, he says that he observed, or the elders or the group of people, those who are having the same opinion as the poet, they have observed that the children, they are gaping at the screen, they are staring at the television or watching the television with a curiosity, surprise and wonder. They loll and slow and launch about. They loll means lazily sit or lazily just reclining, and slow means in a careless manner, and launch means relaxing. So here the children, they are just gaping at the screen, how they are just gaping or watching the television with wonder, and they are just relaxing. They are just relaxing in a careless manner and lazily reclining or lying, and stare until their eyes pop out. So they are watching the television continuously till their eyes pop out, until their eyes come out. So they are continuously watching. So here through these lines, the poet, he gives a general observation. People, they have observed in many houses that children continuously watching television and staring at television in a lazy and careless manner. And how long they watch the television? Until their eyes pop out or come out. And in the next two lines, in a humorous manner, he says that when he visited a house last week, there he found a dozen eyeballs on the floor. It is in a humorous manner, and in a way he conveys the message here that he observed many children were watching television in a house which he visited last week, and these children, they were continuously watching the television. They sit and stare and stare and sit until they are hypnotized by it, until they are absolutely drunk with all the shocking, ghastly junk. So here again the poet says that how long the children, they watch the television. They watch the television until they are hypnotized by it, totally addicted to the television, totally controlled by television. So until that they stare and sit in front of television, and until absolutely drunk, totally addicted to television with all the shocking, ghastly junk. Ghastly junk means something extremely bad or something very waste. So until their minds filled with all the waste and the nonsense and the useless thing, they watch the television. So the poet says that many times the elders, parents, teachers, or the poet, he himself observed in many houses children watch the television for a long time, and they watch the television until their eyes come out or absolutely drunk by the waste stuff of television, or until they are hypnotized by the matters discussed there in television. So I hope that these lines are clear to you. Just go through the poem, and in the next class we will discuss the coming lines of the poem. Thank you. Have a nice day.